This is Cathy Corison, the famous winemaker. And she's been, I guess, in the wine business now, making wine for 42 years, is that right?
Closer to 45.
Closer to 45, okay. We're a little off.
And this is William Martin. We've been partners in Corison Winery now for almost 30 years. And William does everything except grow the grapes and make the wine. It's ma and pa operation. We met through a mutual friend. William's housemate in Boston teaches theater at the high school level, and I met her one summer in Ashland, Oregon, where we were taking a Shakespeare class. And so later that year, I was releasing my very first wine, and I was traveling to Boston to sell it, and I stayed in their third bedroom, and there was William.
So we went to dinner that night just because she wanted to go call on a restaurant, and she asked if I wanted to join her. And so I ordered what I always love at a restaurant, which is grilled lamb, and she was pouring her 1987 Cabernet for the sommelier. And so she poured me a glass, and I thought, wow, this is a great combination. This is a really interesting thing. She had a great fortune to come here in the 1970s to start working, and started Corison back in 1987. And we got married in 1992 and then built the building here in 1999. And that's when we started making wine literally at our winery for the first time. The one thing you learn very quickly is to stay out of each other's way. It's really important to have completely separate responsibilities so that on a daily basis, I'm not telling her what to do and she's not telling me what to do.
When we have very different strengths, almost opposite strengths is the way I look at it. So put it together and we have everything we need to run the business.
I would say Cathy is the best blind taster in our family by far. And I think part of the reason is that when we got married, every night at dinner, ever since 1992, I pour a wine blind for her. It's
been a gift for me because it's made me a much, much better taster over the years.
I keep trying to confuse her and try new wines on her just to see what she thinks, but she's good.
We taste in a tasting group of mostly winemakers that's been tasting together for over 40 years. So William has done a lot of blind tasting in those tastings. Anybody that's done much blind tasting knows that it's a very difficult thing to do. And even very good blind tasters get a lot of things wrong.
Lately, with our daughters home because of the pandemic, one of our daughters has actually been pouring wines blind for both of us now, and that's really fun.
Ready to taste?
Absolutely.
Okay.
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 All right.
So we're each going to pour 2 glasses of a wine we brought, and give the other person the mystery wine.
Yeah.
And then William's going to start tasting first.
And then Cathy's going to bat last.
Yeah. So. First wine.
Okay.
Okay, William's tasting blind. I'm just gonna smell and taste along.
It's a nice light color. Has some beautiful aromatics. Some really vibrant acidity.
We didn't bring spittoons.
Lots of cherries, lots of dried herbs. Also some rose petals. Yeah. Well, I would say it's on the younger side, so maybe 2016. I think it's. I'm leaning towards Sicily or Greece right now. But I think why don't you start with your wine, and then I'll come back with this.
Okay. I smell flowers and leather. I think we're in Europe for sure. It's kind of medium color, it's not terribly dark. It has very grippy tannins, lots of barrel development, but not a lot of barrel flavor. It's just a beautiful rose petal character with tannins that are surprising given the weight and the color of the wine. It's grippy. I think it's Italian. So you ready to call yours?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You
so
first.
Me first. Okay. So I think it's let's say it's a 2015 Sicilian Nero Muscalese. That would be my first guess. It's a grape variety from Etna, Mount Etna.
It's an indigenous variety from Sicily, very old variety that was almost lost, like many of the old varieties. And now they're rescuing it, and it's making just beautiful world-class wines.
Yeah.
I'll call mine. I think we're in Italy. I think I'll say 2015. And I'm gonna go for Barolo from Piemonte.
So when we do it, typically we do vintage, and then wine, and then grape variety, and then where it's from, and then how well do you like it?
Yeah.
So that's the four requirements when we always blind taste.
So if I were to do that for this wine, I think it's relatively. I think it's in the teens. I'll say 15, and I think it's Nebbiolo. I think it's from Barolo, and I like it a lot. Most importantly.
Yeah. Oh, they're both really good.
They are. I think we found our dinner wines.
Yeah. I guess my final guess is still in Sicily, Nero Muscalese from Mount Etna. And I think probably around 2016. Yeah, a recent vintage, but lovely. Yeah.
That's really pretty. Okay, here's the wine. And we have a long history with this wine.
Ah, right.
It is the Alpha Estate Single Vineyard Hedgehog 2017 Zinoma Row, which is a variety that when we were traveling in Greece, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
We visited Macedonia at the north of Greece, and I absolutely fell in love with Zinoma Row. And I think it makes truly world-class wines, and very Nebbiolo-like, interestingly enough to me.
Yeah,
and this is a wine, this is the first Zinoma Row we ever tasted together in New York City at Molivos before we ever traveled to the area. And this is the first notion I got how much I like it. And we drink a fair number of them. And Interestingly enough, winemakers are starting to wonder what they might plant if it gets too warm.
Right.
And it'll be Xenomovro for me. When we were in Greece, we visited vineyards that had Xenomovro and Cabernet Sauvignon. And the Cabernet Sauvignon ripens 2 to 3 weeks earlier than Xenomovro. So these varieties, these indigenous varieties, evolved with the climate and the food and the culture, and make really balanced wines even in a hotter climate. So it's interesting all around.
I love Xenomovro, and I think, to me, they're very similar. They have a very similar weight in terms of color, and they have a wonderful herbaceous quality to them, dried herbs. Yeah, they're both very similar. They also, I think, the cuisine of Sicily and Greece is also very similar, so the weight and the character of the wine seems very similar. And it's not the first time I've confused Xenomovro with Sicilian wine. Yeah, but it's wonderful, and it does. People do talk about it. Sommeliers talk about it as a very Barolo-like Greek wine. Yeah, it has a lot of the balance and the cherries and floral components. Yeah.
And in today's world, it's an amazing value too.
Yeah.
The great wines of Greece are very affordable and delicious.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was an easy pick for me because half of my job here is just to keep Cathy happy. So nothing would make Cathy more happy than a Barolo.
And a Conterno at that.
And a Conterno at that. And this one's a Reserva. We don't often
see many of those.
We don't see many of them. They're unusual to find. But I saw one, and this was like, hey, find a wine to pour blind. And I thought, okay, let's go top shelf. Can't go wrong. Yeah, she called 215.
I said 2015.
2014.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
What a treat. This is a rare treat.
No, that's a great.
This is a great value. This is.
Yeah, interesting.
One of the great wines of the world.
They're both delicious. You know, you can't go wrong with either of them. And then on the price spectrum, they're about as far apart as you could imagine. Cheers.